Welcome to the Glenn and Dean Show. I'm Dean Zarbaugh. Glenn is off today. I am talking via Skype with Brian Collins, who is Circadian Eyes. You have a new album coming out. Why don't you tell everybody about that and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Brian Collins, as he said, and I write music as Circadian Eyes. My new album, A Future Nostalgic, came out the day we're recording this. I'm not sure when it goes live, but
yeah, it'll be up on Monday.
Okay. So it came out today, July 20th. And yeah, really excited to let everyone hear it.
Absolutely. Where can people grab that?
Pretty much anywhere on the internet, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Bandcamp. It's up on the Hawk Moon Records Bandcamp. And yeah, I mean, pretty much anywhere you'd normally listen to music, you can find it. Nice.
And you've been doing music for a while now, haven't you?
Yes. I've been writing as Circadian Eyes since 2010. So, yeah, 8 years.
What was your first album?
Well, my first release was just like an EP, and I called it EP because I couldn't come up with anything better. Well, yeah, my first full-length album was called Who We Were.
That's what I thought. I listened to that album. I was living in Los Angeles at the time.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember that album came out, and I still listen to that album.
Thank you.
Seriously, like when Tom Honey, Good Weather for an Airstrike, our mutual friend, put us in touch, I was super excited because I really love that album, the Who We Were, and I found that album like right as I was getting into all that, like Good Weather for an Airstrike, Echelon Effect, all these other bands, and
yeah, we all kind of started right around the same time, I think.
Yeah, and I remember listening to it, and I just something about it just really hooked me in, and I've been following you since. So I was really excited, like I said, when Tom put us in touch. What's kind of been the journey for you? Were you performing in high school? Did you perform before that? How'd you get into music?
Yes. Well, I started playing guitar in like 9th grade of high school. Because I wanted to be Kurt Cobain, basically. But
everybody did, right?
Yeah. I was like 10 years past, the Nirvana days, but yeah, right. That's what kind of inspired me to pick up a guitar. And I'm completely self-taught musician. So yeah, I started.
Wow, you didn't do anything. Wow, that's congratulations, dude. That's impressive.
Thank you. The internet and some willpower can do some good things.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not.
I only play saxophone, and that was I had to do lessons for that, man. So I applaud you on that. So, but continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're fine. So yeah, I started fiddling around with that in 9th grade, and then I was in a hardcore metal band.
Oh wow!
Believe it or not, my junior year.
Very different from Circadian Eyes.
Very different, yes. So yeah, that was my first and only actual band experience, because with Circadian Eyes, I'm the only person in the band.
Yeah, you're doing all the instrumentation yourself, right?
Yes. Man. Yep, everything is me, whether it's good or bad.
Well, it impresses me that you can do not just one instrument, but play that many and play all of them that well.
Yeah. I don't want to fool anyone. If you hear any drum recording, that is not me. That is like samples, but it's like programmed samples.
Yeah.
But everything else I do play, and then record it, live into the computer and everything.
Oh, wow.
But so, yeah.
And then, so guitar is your first, and then how long was it before you kind of picked up some of the other instruments? You do piano as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, piano, up until this album, was basically the main instrument of Circadian Eyes. I started, I was really kind of slow with learning piano. I got like a standalone keyboard sometime in high school, probably around my senior year, when I was around 18 or so, and not a MIDI keyboard or anything, so it just had like built-in sounds or whatever. So I wasn't really too fond of that, and I was much more guitar based until like my junior year of college. I kind of base everything off of school years. I don't remember my actual age, but
yeah, no, I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I think that was around 9th grade or somewhere in there.
So yeah, I kind of like discovered that I could use MIDI, and that kind of opened up a whole new world for me because, you know, with MIDI, you know, going into a computer, you can play literally anything, you know, that you want to, as if, you know, because there's so many like free samples and free sample libraries, piano libraries, string libraries, you know, so I mean, that's kind of like how I based most of my music off of. So, yeah, I started playing piano kind of more seriously in my junior year, and that's when I started releasing music as Circadian Eyes as well.
Nice. So you were actually still in high school when you started releasing music?
No, sorry. Okay. In my junior year of college, yeah.
Junior year of college. Oh, my bad.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so my first couple years of college, I didn't really, I wasn't in a band or anything. I was writing music just for myself. I never released it or anything. You know, I went through like prog metal phase and like folksy acoustic phase and all that stuff. And then I had been into post rock since high school, but never really like felt inspired enough to like try and write something. Mm-hmm. And then I got into Sigur Rós pretty hard in high school, and I mean they're amazing. And that led me to another composer from Iceland named Ólafur Arnalds.
The name sounds familiar, and I don't know why. I don't know where I'm familiar with that name.
He's amazing. You should definitely check him out. He's mostly piano, like, you know, I was at the beginning. So that's kind of what started it off, and particularly this one song he had. It's called his debut album is called Eulogy for Evolution, and all the song names are just numbers.
Okay,
so the song is called 3055, and that's kind of the spark that really said, hey, maybe I could do something like this. And it's basically like a really like slow, like almost classical piano sound, and then like drums come in at the end, and it just builds and builds in layers, and that's essentially what I tried to do with my music. So that was the starting point.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of, for me personally, post rock, you know, you guys, it inspires me to write. I don't do music really anymore, but I write screenplays or stuff like that, and usually when I'm going to get writing or something, I have your guys' stuff playing in the background, because I don't know what it is. It just, in my mind, it connects to something, and it's just like, man, this is really cool, and it just makes me want to go out and create myself.
Yes. And, you know, as a fan of post-rock and ambient music, I definitely share that exact sentiment. I guess it's probably the instrumental nature of it, and also that, you know, kind of the post-rock, what's the word I'm looking for here? The post-rock,
the vibe.
The vibe, the style of it is to like kind of start quiet and end loud,
right?
And that kind of like inspires you in some way. I don't know, and
that's kind of how life is in a way. You know, we all kind of start a little quiet, and then, you know, as we get going, we get louder and louder and louder. So
absolutely,
that's really cool. And so you've put out how many albums now? Let's see. I'm on your Bandcamp page as we speak. Yep. So you've put out 6, 7, 8 albums.
Well, yeah, 3 full-length albums.
3 full lengths.
Yep, 3 full lengths, and then 2 EPs, and then a bunch of singles. So yeah, probably around 40 or so tracks.
That's really cool, man. And so a future nostalgic. What kind of? How long was it between the last album you did and the new one?
It was just under 3 years. So my second album was called Songs for Ghosts. I don't even know my own album name. So that was in 2015, and then I think I just did singles the next 2 years because I was busy with life, and and the thing that kind of sparked a future nostalgic, and it's excuse me, it's an album that what am I trying to say here? It's most of my albums up until that point were all piano based, and I was still trying to write piano songs, and I was, starting off my songs with pianos and all that, and everything kind of became too similar for me, and I wasn't impressing, I try to like impress myself and say,
Right.
hey, this is, I'm trying to better myself rather than just release the same thing over and over.
Right. If you're not having fun, or if your heart's not behind the music,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, for those couple years, I was kind of experimenting with more ambient type stuff rather than the post rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of really got into M83 and Odessa,
Yeah.
and kind of bands like that, electronic based. I wouldn't necessarily call them post rock, but M83 in particular definitely has some post rock songs. So I got into them a lot, and they use mostly like electronics and synth type stuff. So I kind of challenged myself to like write a song without any piano, which was a big deal for me because that was pretty much the Circadian Eyes staple up until that point.
Right.
So I wrote the first song I wrote. It's called "Everything That Makes You Wonder." That was the single from this album, and I was like, well, this is pretty cool, and I just kind of kept going, and ultimately I really only took like 6 months to do the entire album, which is pretty fast for me. The second album, Songs for Ghosts, like spans like a couple years worth of material.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a melting pot of everything. But this album, I kind of like sat down with a vision, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I want it to sound. So I think it really works well as a cohesive album.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Talking about how long it can sometimes take you to come up with stuff. Are you like a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff? Like, if it's not just right, you got to kind of keep doing it. I mean, because that's kind of how I am with some of my writing and stuff. If it's not like right where I want it, it could be good. It could be really good. But if it's not where I want it, is that kind of the same thing with you and the music?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And obviously, as like artists or writers and musicians, I think we're always trying to better ourselves, and so it's kind of like frustrating when you think you can do better, but you're like, I'm not really sure how to. So
that's tough. That is a tough place for your mind to be at any one time.
Yes. So yeah, I mean that's something I definitely struggle with, is like perfectionism. And Tom from Hawk Moon wanted this album out in the summer, and I said, I had already kind of set myself a goal to get an album out for the summer anyway, so it worked. But nice. I was like, I could sit here and tweak this for the next year, and it'll be, something completely different. But at the end of the day, I said, okay. I kind of gave myself a deadline and stuck with that, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of the way it came out. So
yeah, absolutely. Everything I've listened to so far, I really enjoy. And one thing I did want to ask you, and I totally forgot, the name Circadian Eyes. How did you come up with that? I meant to ask that originally in the beginning, and I was like, no, I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm just going to keep going.
It's all good. Okay. Let's see. I've never had to explain this. Well, circadian rhythms. I'm not sure if you know like what that is.
For your natural sleeping.
Yeah. It's kind of like your body's clock. Yeah. So your circadian rhythm is like you go to sleep a certain time of day, you wake up a certain time of day, you're eating certain times of day and stuff like that. So I didn't learn that phrase until college, and I'm like, oh, I like that word circadian. And I remember I wrote it down in my notebook for the class I was in. I don't even remember what class it was. Then it came time where I had to had to, you know, come up with a name to release my music because Brian Collins isn't a very fun artist name.
There's probably a bunch of them out there.
Yeah, exactly. So
you want to stick out a little bit.
If you Google Brian Collins, you know, you're going to get a million different things. So I needed something a bit more unique. So yeah, I took Circadian, which basically translates to circa, which is about, like an estimate, and then dia, a day, so about a day, and then eyes. It's just kind of like my way of putting an emotional aspect to the time of circadia, if you will. So it's kind of like saying these are my memories day to day. Like that's kind of like my when I am writing bios and stuff. Like these are the soundtrack to my memories. Like that's kind of how I've marketed it, and that's what I kind of believe as well. So yeah, Circadian Eyes. That's what I came up with, and it's not Canadian Eyes, which that's been mistaken plenty of times.
Really?
Yes.
Weird. Yeah, I don't know why. There's a big R right there. It's like
right.
I don't know.
I got like this business email from somebody. This was years ago now, but they were like, you know, asking me to put my music on something, and they're like, "Yeah, we're big fans of Canadian Eyes." I'm like, oh, okay.
Who are they? Who are they? Who's Canadian Eyes?
Yeah,
I've not heard of them. Well, you know, I the name is what originally drew me to your music, to even try to listen to your music.
Yeah.
What I love outside of the music with you guys in post rock is the names of your bands, and by bands I mean, you know, you guys. It is just the ones of you out there. You guys, you know, Echelon Effect, Good Weather for an Airstrike, Circadian Eyes. I love those names, and and I told Tom this when I recorded with him. I'd emailed him like after I listened to one of his albums, and I don't remember which one. And I emailed him. I said, "Hey, look, I don't want to offend you, but I use your music to help me sleep." And he was so nice about it. He goes, no, don't worry about it. You know, that's why I did this, is like, he has tinnitus and was specifically to help him sleep. So he's like, please don't feel bad. And, but that or inspiring to write has just been, post rock's been a big part of my life since pretty much right when you guys started. 2010. Right around there, like that's when I was the height of my time in living in LA, and always looking to be inspired for something, and I would always turn to you guys for that.
Yeah, so. It's a very cinematic genre.
It is, and like that's kind of how I explain it to people who don't know the genre. I'm like, think about the best movie soundtrack you've ever heard, and then like take that and make it even better. Like that's basically what post rock is like really good cinematic
unless it's
music.
Interstellar, then it's nothing better than that, right?
Right, exactly, yeah. But that's a whole other beast
conversation, right?
Yeah, I can go in on that for quite a while. So what, you got anything planned? I know this one just came out. You got anything planned for the future? Just going to take a break for a little while?
Yeah, I mean, I don't tour or anything. I've never played live with Circadian Eyes just because I'm one person in it. There's so many layers to the music, it would be too difficult. So yeah, I'll probably be taking a small break from Circadian Eyes. I've been working on another music project that I'm thinking of actually making public. So
oh, nice.
But yes, that's
if you do, I will be looking forward to that.
Well, yes, it's much different than Circadian Eyes. It's like a synth pop type thing.
Nice.
But yes, that's kind of like my guilty pleasure is synth pop. So
absolutely,
yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Gives you something different. Something different to work on, and you never know where like creativity or inspiration is going to come to you. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Could totally, totally change. Something down the road. You're like, oh, maybe I don't use that for this, but then it could end up part of something else, later on down the line.
Oh yeah, I have so many unfinished things, like 30-second melodies and stuff on my computer that are just sitting there, and and occasionally I'll kind of like go back to them and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty good. Why did I abandon it?
Yeah, I do that with scripts. Like every once in a while, I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, I don't remember this title, and I'll click on it, and it's literally a half a page.
Yep.
I got 2 lines on it, and that's it. And I was like, where was I going with that?
Yep.
Or like in that case, oh, I like that. That's maybe I'll work on the idea, expand it out a little bit. But yeah, that's something with all creatives. I think there's just always that little bit of stuff lurking in the shadows of unfinished work that's just gonna lie around and no one's ever gonna see it.
Yes, I like to say it's easy to write music and it's hard to finish music.
Yeah, I can see why. Definitely, I couldn't. My music knowledge is very amateur as far as when it comes to writing, and I couldn't write music to save my life. I tried transposing when I was in high school.
Oh yeah,
like our marching band stuff. I would try transposing into different keys or to different things, and it confused me so much. Like, wait, I gotta go up like this many steps, and okay, and it was too much for me. I was like, I'll just stick to playing other people's music. I'm good at that. I can do that. Okay. But to get the coordination that you guys have for guitar and piano, that's something I can't get. I don't know why. It's really tough for me.
It's just become a kind of a muscle memory thing. I mean, I started guitar when I was, pretty young, probably like 13 years old. So now I can just I hardly ever play the guitar. Mm-hmm. I'm mostly on my keyboard now, but I can pick up the guitar and just play it like it. It's like riding a bike for me.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice, but for like years I was trying to actively get better at guitar and shred faster and cleaner and all that, and now I'm just like, well, it's there if I need it, but I'm not actively trying to improve my skills on it. Much more focus on songwriting now rather than shredding.
You've fallen into a groove, you know what you want to do, what your brand is at this point.
Right.
You don't really need to push it too far or get too crazy with anything.
Yes. No one wants to hear a crazy guitar solo on a post-rock song.
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute guitar solo.
Yeah.
On a 20-minute, 24-minute long post-rock track, I think would be hilarious. And just to remind people, where can they get the album and where can they find you online if they want to follow the latest for Circadian Eyes?
Basically, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Those are my main social medias. And as far as the music, it's pretty much everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp. So I mean, if you're listening to music, you can probably find it where you're listening.
Yeah, perfect. Brian, I appreciate you being here and calling in and taking the time to promote the album. The album is called A Future Nostalgic. It is out right now. You can go buy it wherever you get music, and leave him a nice review and let Brian know what you thought of the album.
Yes,
Brian,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time.
Of course.
I will tag you in everything when we get it up online, and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for calling in.
All right. Yep, no problem.
Have a good night.
You too.